Great.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to introduce you to our next podcast guest for Purposely. Her name is Karen Ostenried. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Now, Karen is the CEO and founder of an amazing company called the Matanya Effect. And as you can see, she's actually outside with some horses, and she uses something called equine assisted learning to help organizations with leadership and a whole raft of stuff. So I'm so excited to hear more about your story and what it is you do, and hopefully we can get a little demo of how you do EAL with your horses and what it's all about. I'm sure everyone is extremely excited to check it all out.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. So I got into this purely by accident. And so I was a medical research for 27 years. And
Wow.
And luckily along the way, I was always really enthusiastic about learning new stuff. And one of the things that, the Purposely podcast is about kind of learning as you go and being open to learning all the time. And I really appreciate being on your podcast today to say that no matter how old you are, you can still learn new things. And even some of us oldies are still very proactive and innovative in it. And I'm always looking for the next way to learn, or the next development in innovation. I suppose that's probably one of my biggest catch cries, and that's landed me in some really good places. So I was the first technician to ever get invited to work in science overseas. Most people had to be PhDs or established professors, simply because every time there was a new technology, I was right into it and able to pick it up and develop it and expand it really quickly. So that's kind of stayed with me all my life, and I use that all the time. So when I got out of science, one of the things that I wanted to work on was communication skills, because knowing lots of high level scientists, the higher the intelligence, the greater problems they had with communicating with different levels of people, and especially in a leadership environment. And so I was often utilized as the go-between or the interpreter between the high language or the high jargon, level jargon, and the cleaners, for example. So I really kind of developed that kind of interpretation skills, I suppose, and to be able to relate ideas to different levels. And that's what I love about the horses. So now I'm doing equine assisted learning, which grew out of that communication piece, and it also grew out of emotional intelligence. So
Amazing.
the big things you get from horses is that they have the ability to react really fast and go up into a high level of energy or excitement, or fleeing in fear, if there's a mountain lion or a cougar about to attack them. And then if they check up the environment, everything's safe, they have an amazing ability to simply calm down again and go back to ordinary stuff like eating, for example, which is what they're all doing behind me. But they are so the thing that horses bring to leadership and us as humans is the fact that their herd environment is actually much more complicated than people think. But if we learn from it, especially the bigger your organizations get, we learn about how the horses work with each other in that herd environment. And of course, the bigger the herd, the safer everyone is, because then they've got more eyes looking around for things, and more eyes going, hey, did you see this? Or hey, did you see that? And then the whole herd goes up. They turn to the leader of the herd, which isn't necessarily the stallion, by the way. It's often the lead mare. and then they'll look up, check out the possible danger, and then they make the decision whether they should go or not. So it's all of the herd's responsibility to look out for each other, because they all depend on the herd for safety. And then it's all their responsibility to say, hey, have you seen this over there? I think it might be, a saber-toothed tiger. And so everyone, that ripple goes through the herd very quickly. The decision makers ultimately check it out and know with experience, because they usually become decision makers because they have the experience, will say, yeah, I'm not sure I like that. Let's move the herd on. Let's go to a safer place. So that's what, I think it brings the two pieces, not only the communication with each other, the trust, the respect, and also that emotional intelligence piece. So behind me, we have our entire herd. We've got Duke, his head's there.
Yeah.
We've got our Australian Brumby in the background. That's Jet.
Oh,
He's very,
hello.
very healthy. Then next to Jet, we have, Music, who's right behind me. She's our lead mare. Music is our lead mare back there. And then over here, I'll try and get out of the shot and still get it. This is backwards. There we go. If I can get that. That is Indy. Sorry about that. It's hard because I'm in opposite direction. That's Indy. He's our very old man. Indy is probably equivalent to about a 110-year-old human.
Wow.
But and he's really good in the arena pieces because he doesn't tolerate fools. So like humans, they all have their own personalities. And the first step when I take teams or leaders into the arena is we do a safety demo, because safety is our number one kind of priority for both horses and humans. And then I have explained to them how to start a connection or develop a relationship with the horses. And that's by look for this body language, look for that that they're giving you. Don't force yourself onto people. So they have to approach in a non-aggressive manner. And that's all involved in the body language. And then you hold your hand out backwards. You didn't see that? Whoops.
Yep.
Oh, I'm getting confused. Okay, hold your hand out flat. Sorry, I've got a dodgy finger. With your thumb in, because horses actually have, yes, that's it. And then allow them to sniff you. Because you've walked up to a horse, you've offered your hand, and then it's up to them to sniff you, to smell if you're okay. And because you're not being aggressive, they're more likely to do that. So it's developing.
It's a sniff test, and horses can pick up on whether or not they like your vibe or not, like they vibe on you or they don't vibe on you.
Yeah, the vibe is actually real. So horses can actually pick up on your heartbeat and your energy intention. So, and I'm a research medical scientist, so I don't believe in a lot of woo-woo, but now with quantum physics, so with quantum physics, they've actually proven that energy and sound, even sound that we can't hear, can be measured. And horses have an amazing ability to read your heart rate. They can distinguish between anger and anxiety. Humans have a very hard time of distinguishing the two. And often humans who feel threatened will often become aggressive. So that's passive aggressive. A horse will pick up all of those idiosyncrasies in the human very quickly. They'll monitor the body language, how you approach them. They'll check out if you know horse language or not pretty quickly, and then agree or not agree to be your partner for the program. So all of that is in the first 10 minutes.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, there's so many correlations that can be made between the herd within your, a group of horses, but also the herd at work. And there's been an enormous amount of work being done in the leadership space around creating a feeling of safety in organizations and about leaders who lead with purpose and integrity and heart. And I'm just so excited about this leadership program that you offer. I think it's amazing, because I think everybody has been to a million leadership programs and they all kind of talk about the same stuff, and we're all talking about all of this, woo-woo stuff. But what you do is so different because it gives these leaders real-time feedback as to why
Yes.
they may not be getting the results that they want with their teams, because the horses are going to accept or reject them and follow their instructions. Because what we know as people who are into this stuff, Karen, is that so much of communication is not what you say, it's your body language and how you say it. And the horses are giving these people that real-time feedback. So can you show us what one of the activities that you would do with the horse if someone came and did a leadership program with you?
Okay, I should have left I had a session this morning with some clients, but I didn't leave. We're not in the arena at the time, so I'd have to set that up, and I don't have a halter with me to do that. But I can give you a very simple demo. So I have to go. When you are giving directions, for example, that could be you've got someone and said, hey, can you type up a report, on blah, 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 blah. Okay. So if we take that we always parallel back to real life. So in our programs, sometimes the humans and their horse team have to go through an obstacle course, or they might have a problem to solve and go through a obstacle course. So we have to kind of start with communication and have clear communication. So horses demand that clear communication. If they don't understand what you're saying, because you might be giving them mixed messages, you might be asking them to passively, therefore you're not being a good leader, because a leader would ask with confidence, and you're not, or you're maybe saying two contradictory things. So if you do that with a horse, for example, I'm going to show you how I can move Duke around sideways. This is something we did today. So it's pretty easy to move a horse forward and back, and that's you lead it by the lead rope, and there's a few easy tricks to get them to back up. And the horse's main kind of safety, if you like, is to move forward, to fly and to go into flight mode and run away from a threat. But they can also move sideways, up and down. We don't particularly want to move them up because that will end up with a buck or a kick, but we can move them sideways. So if I get my camera right, so Duke is actually at the moment eating. So, but he is actually monitoring me with his ears and his eye. So he has one ear on me. Oops, if I can get that right. One ear on me. And he's got one eye on me, and the other ear, if you can see it, is pointing to the rest of the herd. Okay, so they use their ears as individual satellite dishes. Okay, so he knows I'm here because he can hear my voice. If I walked around the back of him, I would simply, because he knows I'm here, I'll put my hand here and I can run it along. And people go, oh, you should never go behind a horse. This is done in our safety thing. But the horse has a couple of blind spots, and I'm now standing right at the base of the tail at the back, but he's not going to kick me because I've already proved to him I'm a good, safe leader, that he can trust me. But also, even though he can't see me now, he can feel me. Okay, so I've got my hand on his back, and he's not going to get a fright. People get kicked by horses because they go up and scare them, or they're in a confined place. So let's go back to moving a horse sideways. So even though he's eating, you've seen that he's listening to me and he knows I'm here. So I'm just going to go to this part of the body, and it's going to be very hard for me to show because I don't have a long enough arm. So I want him to move out of that side, that back of his body. And I'm just going to put the smallest amount of pressure. I don't know if you noticed his feet move.
Yes, I can see it.
And I'll just do it again. Normally I should be watching, but he knows how to do this quite well. So I have just asked him to move his hindquarters away from me. And I did it very specifically. That's where our communication piece comes in. Right? I haven't done it aggressively. I didn't have to. But if he had been testing my leadership, I could have ramped it up. And so we have things called the 4 levels of pressure. One is to ask politely. Second one is ask assertively. Third one is ask with added pressure.
Yeah.
And the fourth one is you don't really want to go to the fourth level, and you because it's actually it's probably what some people would see would be aggressively, and the horse may do that as well, because in the horse syndrome, in the horse herd, if you don't move and the lead mare is telling you, and she's telling you for a reason that if you don't move, you're going to fall down that crevice or blah, 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 she will go to whatever level it takes to get the result. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But as the herd, you don't want to have to go there. So you start with level 1. If they don't understand or they're not listening, then you go to level 2. I just use level 1. This morning session, because the horses are quite clued into the humans, this morning session was the horses the humans didn't even have to touch the horse. It was simply the horse was following the human's eyes to the area that they were focusing on, so they can actually follow your intention. And then with that, before they even got to touch the side of the horse was already moving out the way. And then it's really important to ask. So we use pressure as the please, that's the ask, and we use release as the thank you. So when I finish with him, I don't know, I would give him a rub on the area that I have been putting some pressure on, simply to say to him, you did the right thing, great job. And that's, if I had to redo my leadership, I didn't praise my people enough.
Mm-hmm,
and I was very clear. I got really clear on the communication, but I was so busy going from one goal to the next goal to the next goal, I actually didn't take a breath to appreciate them as much as I would now do. And I also wouldn't kind of take the time to celebrate the successes that I had, because it was always, next. And we have to be really careful with that in today's world.
Absolutely. I couldn't
so
agree
that's
more.
just
Yeah. I love it.
So it's
sorry, we're talking over the top of each other. So Karen, can you tell us the story of one of the moments where you had like this amazing transformation of a leader that came to you, and they were kind of like that old school dictator, egotistical leader who probably didn't want to be there, and they just had an amazing experience, and you think it changed their life? Do you have a story like that?
Yeah, I had a guy who he was reluctant to be a leader. Let's just say that he was very reluctant to be a leader, because he didn't. And I see this a lot with some leaders who I see as born leaders, but they don't see it themselves, and so he was lacking confidence. And sometimes if you're a leader, you're meant to be leading, so you're meant to be going where no man or woman has gone before, and there's a fair bit of pressure that you put on yourself, especially in the innovation environment or in those types of environments, that you need to be looking for the next thing, and you kind of think you start getting a little bit out of your depth. So this guy was really worried of making a mistake. So this is in the leadership realm as well. And I suppose as a consequence, he thought it was safer not to lead or to step back when he didn't have to. And what happened was, I said to him in the arena, and this is what we don't get to, we're not able to practice in all of the other leadership programs that you do. I said, in the arena, the horses are this instant feedback system.
Yeah.
It's your opportunity to actually try new and different things until you find something that works, right? So there is no failure. So I had to just literally change that mindset of there isn't any failure. It's just an opportunity to learn. And I learned that in science, because in research, you're doing thousands of different ways to find the answer, and 99.9% of them are going to fail. So I was quite happy with failure, but a lot of leaders are not happy with failure. And so it was just gradually getting the confidence, and I said, this is one environment where you don't have to be afraid of making a mistake. or doing the wrong thing, because you always get a second, a third, a 20th and a 40th time to try something different and do it differently. And once he started doing that, and we do quite a few sessions where they have to think outside the norm, and that challenges their creativity. And because it's not straightforward, the answer. So it might take a bit of brainstorming, it might take a bit of planning, it might take lots of communication with the team, and trying a number of different things. And once he got comfortable with doing that over and over again, it was just like a switch that went, boom, I got this. There is no failure, only opportunity to learn. And that fear was literally gone, and he just blossomed as a leader. He answered questions. He stepped up all the time. It was pretty amazing. And then there was another time where a business, which are relatively small, but they were expanding very quickly, and the business owner was absolutely amazing, very much in training of their staff very well, and she was very supportive. She did, like, probably one of the best bosses I've ever come across. And she said to me afterwards, one of the benefits that she got from doing our programs was that she got to see who they really were in the arena, because they're stepping outside their comfort zones. There isn't any problem in the arena that they have seen before, so they can't use prior experience. And so what she said was, one of my staff, I wasn't sure about her, but I couldn't put my finger on what was happening. But when she saw her interact with the team, and she was one of the team members, she finally it was something really, really refined, that she goes, oh, that's it. That's what I know, okay, so it was a great opportunity for her to assess the levels of her staff skills and how they were working, and what she needed to tweak in order to get the team even better. So not only does the individual test their skills in their teamwork, their problem solving, their creative thinking, their emotional management, because a lot of people didn't like making mistakes, or they didn't want to do something wrong, or they didn't want to hurt the horse. And it's like, no, let it all go. And be honest and open, because that's what the horses want, and try something new. You're not going to, there is no failure here. So those two stories was,
sorry. There just seems like so many benefits to utilizing this method of learning. So from a team building perspective, from a leadership perspective, from pushing people outside their comfort zones, I can just see so many positives that you could get from coming and doing one of your programs. So, Karen, you're in Kinglake, which is a beautiful area. We've probably got some listeners who are from, not just Victoria. So, whereabouts are you located? And what are some of the programs that you offer? Like, is it half a day? Is it a full day? Do people come and stay on your property? Like, explain to us how it works and what your options are.
Okay, I've just kind of wanted to point out, while you were talking, the horses have noticed something in the bush next door. And so one horse triggered it, and all of the others lifted their heads. And now the lead mare, is that one, she's taking a better look to see if it's all safe. They actually feel very safe in our paddocks, because they feel quite safe with me being here in particular. And they're just checking out what's going on. Obviously, it's got the go-ahead, it's all safe, and she'll go back to her eating. So some of the programs, so we actually had our first, our first 3-day program, first 3-day program design due for the end of March this year, which obviously got hammered on the head because of COVID. So I've only just started doing residential programs, but for leadership programs, we run usually a minimum of 3 days over a period of months. So 1 day a month for 3 months or 6 months. The organisation can depend on that. And so that people can start upskilling their existing skills and learn new skills. And then they have enough time to, before they leave each session, we do a little bit of a strategy planning. So how are they going to implement what they learnt in the organisation or their time, and we set some SMART goals cemented.
Amazing.
And then the other programs we run is women's. The other program that we run is a women's empowerment program, and we've done that with leadership groups for women, so that they were either business owners or in the C-suite. And that was really amazing. It blew my mind the first time we ran that. It was a 2-day program. No live-in, but there's accommodation up here for people that want to stay overnight if they need to travel, and I can help people out with that. And would you believe the horses, who were normally very compliant for all the lower level team building programs, they tested these leaders like you would not believe, and they just wouldn't do anything. The horses refused to do anything that the leaders, the first session was very basic, and the horses said, no, I'm not going to do that. And it was as though they knew that these people were leaders and they were testing it.
They're so smart.
It was just
horses
amazing.
Really smart. They're amazing creatures. I absolutely love them. I would love to bring my team and come and do something with you when we're allowed, because obviously we're still in some form of restrictions. Hopefully on Saturday we get some good news and we can get back to business as usual, because I am just craving some face-to-face like interaction and team building, and your horse is obviously excited too about that. So can they hear? They can't hear my voice because you've got your headphones in. But I was going to say, I wonder if they can hear me. Oh, look at this one behind you. It's got its ears pricked up. It's obviously checking something out.
Yeah, and I just got a bit of a shove because there's been a rearrangement in the horse priorities. So this guy here, Indy, the grumpy old man as we call him, he's higher in the hierarchy than Duke that was standing next to me. Yep. And Indy's just walked around the back of the herd and just told Duke to move out of his way. And so Duke's literally, he's tried to squeeze between me and the timber that's on the ground here. And it's like, okay, but they do it really, really gently and kindly, so they don't have to, they just have to look and have that intention. Sorry, I got a bit distracted because of that. I didn't know what was going on behind me, so I just kind of.
That's all right.
I would love to have. For normally I do the minimum I do for the leadership and the teamwork is a day program, and we provide all morning teas and lunch and everything else like that. And with those programs, I actually go into the organisations and to find out what they, what are the topics or objectives they want to work on, and then I'll plan out the day accordingly. And it'll go from very simple, how to start the relationship with the horses and the safety issues, and then through to the creativity and the harder problem solving. And then if they like that, if they're going to do a really high level leadership program, it has to be a minimum of 3 days. And like I said, it's usually spread over those time periods. And Indy wants me to scratch his bum.
He's himself on you. Oh, that's funny.
He was just like turning around. Yeah. It's like, okay, no, I'm not going to get a scratch. I'll move away.
So it's so funny because when I met you, Karen, we met at a course because we're both accredited facilitators of Share Tree's culture program, which is amazing. When I first learned about what you did, I was like, oh, and how amazing a leadership program where I get to ride horses. And I was like, and then you're like, no, we don't ride the horses. And I didn't get it. Like, I didn't understand. I thought that, you're going to put people on horses and smack them on the bum and see if you can stay on, kind of thing, as your Yeah, but it's just such an amazing concept, what you're doing. It's so unique. I absolutely love it. And if people want to learn more about what you do or get in touch, how can they do that?
So they either can contact me via the website or by email. So it's admin@thematanyeffect.com.au. That will get emailed to me as well, or go through my website, which is www.thematanyeffect.com.au. Oops. And you can, and I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. That's the old guy. Someone's got some bit of dusty hay or just kind of inhaled something too quickly. They tend to guts things. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Karen Ostenried or the Matanya Effect. So I am on Insta, but I'm not kind of on it all the time. So LinkedIn, Facebook, email, website, and yeah, they're the best ones, because if I'm outside in the arena with clients or I'm working off-site, it's best to get me through those things rather than ring. I won't answer the phone if I'm in a session.
That's understandable. So how far is Kinglake from the CBD in Melbourne, just so that we can give some people an idea about how far away you are?
So it usually takes people between an hour and an hour and a half. I haven't had anyone that's taken longer than an hour and a half to get here. So it takes a little bit of planning, but I guarantee it will be a day or several days that you will never forget, and you will learn more than you've ever learned in a 6-month leadership program in those 3 days. So yeah.
Sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to speak to you about doing it with my team. I think it would be awesome. So we will share Karen's all of her handles when we publish the episode. But Karen, thank you so much for giving us your time. And this has been by far one of the most interesting podcasts I've ever done, with horses in the background. It's just amazing. So I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much.
You too. Thanks very much, Emily. It's been an absolute joy to talk with you again. And I look forward to hosting you up here with your team and having lots of fun, making lots of memories and learning lots of stuff.
Sounds awesome.